I want to start this evening with a quote from the late Toni Morrison. The function of freedom is to free someone else. Welcome to Brooklyn for Peace's 2019 PathMakers to Peace Gala. This is our fifth year, or fourth year? Fifth year? Can anybody help me here? Who's counting? Well, this is our fifth year where we acknowledge 3 recipients for the courageous vision, dedication, and sustained work for peace and social justice in our communities. Tonight, we are not here to focus on all that is wrong. All that is wrong with the world. We're not here to focus on that tonight. Tonight, we're here to focus and honor all that is right. Tonight is a celebration of humanity, the preciousness and beauty of life, its diversity, and what can be accomplished when we all work together. As Nichiren Daishonin says, many in body, one in mind. Because of all of you here tonight, your continued support as members, donors, and volunteers, Brooklyn for Peace is still here after 35 years.
I am quite happy. No, I'm more than happy. I am one lucky dude, highly blessed and very thankful to be honored here to receive this award. You know, when I was thinking about it, I was going to come like Dr. King came when he received his Nobel Peace Prize. You know, and because, look, it's really something to be honored. You know, we labor, all of us in this room labor hard on the issues that matter. And we do it because the work needs to be done. We never worry about whether you get a pat on the back, but when you get one, you better believe you earned it. And so we got PathMakers in here. But let me tell you about my journey, because it is one that all of us need to be engaged in. You know, we are a people of slogans in many ways. For instance, if I say to you, no justice, what do you say back to me? No peace. Right. And I have to tell you that when you say that, peace demands action. And that's where we're at. And that also is our weakest point. Because we got slogans, but we don't have enough of the action that is needed. For instance, and I wouldn't put anybody in the room on the spot because I know you wouldn't be on the spot if I was to ask you, when you say Black Lives Matter, if I were to say to you, then what is it that shows me the action that goes with your slogan? Now, if you don't have an action, that's giving you a chance to work on it. But let me tell you this, it is necessary because we do better together. We do better together, every community, but every community is not engaged in the battle in which we're fighting. In fact, we're still coming out of our dark ages. Many people think it has to do with medieval times, but I'd say wherever there is ignorance, in the presence of when there is enlightenment that can make the situation better, if we are not reaching for it, we're in our dark ages. So much so that we have not reached the pinnacle where we need to be right now. There are plenty of communities who are suffering because of the militarization of the world, from local communities to international communities. Every issue is connected to militarism. You can't talk about immigration as if people are leaving their countries because they want to come here. No, it is because of the very terrible and negative things we're doing in countries abroad. The things that you see when you look at a place like the Marshall Islands, look, they're not out trying to have frivolous lawsuits. They sued in the international court because the women are having jellyfish babies because we're testing military equipment over there. And then we walk around feeling pretty good. By the way, I'm a combat veteran of Vietnam. I was a machine gunner in the Marine Corps. I enlisted in the Marine Corps 2 weeks after Dr. King was killed. As a person of color, I thought to myself, what do I do to show I love this country as much as anybody else? And the only thing I can think of, because the country was hyped about militarization, was to join the military. I had grown up playing with little cowboy, little toys, little army men reading Sergeant Rock. And everything this country taught me that it was about fighting somebody. Never taught me why we were fighting. So in '68, when I went to Vietnam, I learned from the indigenous peoples of every country I went to. And I realized they're not messing with me. It is our government that has gone amok, that is messing with countries around the world. And what we see is the same disinvestment that they do in our local communities, they are doing around the world. When we talk about bullyism, not to talk about the cycle that's in the White House right now, but when we talk about bullyism, our country under the military guise has been going around the world bullying up on smaller countries to take resources and to establish positions to build up more warfare positions to kind of contain the world. And then we have the nerves to get duped into, again, the false militarization that says, tell us vets, thank us for our service, I dare you. You don't know what we did there. And if you did, you would be mad at us or the ones who sent us. So don't get bought into that thank you for your service. Look at the service that this country has done abroad in all of our names. Now is the time for us to make a change, and to make a change that says we're serious about humanity all over the world. Listen to the echoes of the soft voices of the Habakkuk. They have no tanks. They have no bombs. All they have was the witness of their frail bodies who suffered the atrocity of this country dropping bombs in both Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They say never again. We should say never again, but more than saying never again, we should work to ensure that it's never again. Now, I know a little bit about moments like this. I grew up in the Baptist church, and those who know Baptist folks, they can rock with a mic. So I'm going to respect, because I got some sisters here tonight who I'm glad to be here and be on a team, to be honored with them, that again reflect how much we can do when we do it together. I've stood on the issues of nuclear non-proliferation, not just in marching with my sisters in the pouring down rain, but also speaking in Japan and speaking in France and speaking anywhere in the community I can. And who don't know Zephyr Teachout? Listen, you know, someday soon in New York, we're going to deal with these statesmanship lists, politicians, and get us some real servants of the people, those who step up to serve for the do good that is needed on behalf of the people, like Zephyr Teachout has done. But even more than her running for a political office, it's just her presence and her teaching on the issues and the things that matter. In this moment, it's an intersectional moment. But remember, we arrived here by silo paths. Our siloism has harmed us because we're at a point where we must work together, but we don't have the history of really working together. Some people are afraid, while at the same time saying we are not afraid. Lean to the we are not afraid. And if you are afraid, stand in the midst of those who are not. There's great power in numbers. We are the many. And we are the minis that must change the course of destiny of a world that seems lost. I will end by saying thank you, thank you. I love you all. And this is not the end, this is only the beginning. We do better together, and we are the ones that will change this world for the better. Thank you, Brooklyn for Peace. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Brooklyn for Peace for this award. I am not a native New Yorker. You might have picked that up either in my accent or by the fact that I went to the University of Toronto. But I have lived in Brooklyn now for many, many years. I've been in New York for almost 15 years, and I've been in Brooklyn for most of that, in Sunset Park. Yeah, all right. And I heard Jim make a little joke about the Nobel Peace Prize, and of course ICANN won the Nobel Peace Prize, and I did bring it. So if you want to see it after everything's over, eating dessert, etc., come visit me, you can take a picture with it, because really the thing that I want to speak about today is not about the Peace Prize, but is about community. And this prize is about community. This prize was not an individual prize. This went to the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICANN. And it went to a community of actors that worked for years to get a ban on nuclear weapons at the United Nations. This particular campaign started only in 2007. It's fairly young. We got a treaty in 10 years. But it is built on the back of decades and decades of activism, of people from 1945 to the present that have dedicated their lives to abolishing nuclear weapons, dedicated their lives to trying to solve one of the most egregious, inhumane, indiscriminate, unjust situations that we still live with in our current day reality. And it was a community that brought together activists, diplomats, academics, the Red Cross, survivors of nuclear weapon testing and nuclear weapon use from around the world to the UN in New York to make this treaty a reality. But it took years of work to do that. And we are very, very seldom recognized for this work. And that is why this is a collective prize. This is not my prize. This is not even just ICANN's prize. This is an anti-nuclear disarmament prize. I'm really pleased to be here celebrating with all of you because I do believe very strongly in community. And I just want to give a few shout outs to so many people. There's a lot of people in this room who've done so much good work, but I just want to say that, you know, we have Kathleen Sullivan here who's been leading Hibakusha stories, bringing atomic bomb survivors into New York City high schools for years, educating the next generation about the realities of nuclear weapons, of nuclear weapon policy in this country and around the world. So important. And to Blaze also for all of his work in supporting this, in being a magical musician, in feeding the movement. I want to thank Ari also for being here today, who's been a photographer for ICANN and the movement at large, generously donating so much of his time and his amazing photographic skills. My friend Adam is here tonight. He's with the Bronx Defenders. You know, Jim was talking about how we're all connected. Everything that Adam does every day of his life, defending people up in the Bronx for ridiculous charges that we all know about in this city that require public defenders here in Brooklyn and also in the Bronx. So important. And all of this work is so connected. You know, we can talk about nuclear weapons at the United Nations. We can talk about people being fined or being imprisoned for jumping a turnstile at a New York City subway station. All of this is connected because we're all fighting against a certain element of power and greed and the way that we operate in our society here in New York and around the world. And I just think it's really important that movements like this, Brooklyn for Peace, and our broader peace movement here in New York, and with ICANN and the larger nuclear, anti-nuclear movement, that we're all coming together to really make a difference on whatever it is that we're working on in our local context and our global context. But we are all part of a community. So thank you very much for this award and for all being here tonight.
Wow, it is such an incredible honor to receive this award and to receive it along with Jim Anderson. And to learn about Rae Acheson's work is so inspiring. I am truly honored and excited, and I'm okay with it, but I have a great career in losing. In Citizens United, Justice Stevens cited me extensively in the dissent. I ran for governor. And thank you to all the people who helped me move from somebody who had 8% name recognition and 18% of people didn't like me to 34% of the vote showing Andrew Cuomo there's a genuine progressive movement in this state. We really are in this combination of moments of extraordinary elation as we come out of those cocooned lanes that Jim was talking about, where we have been each isolated, and coming to see the ways in which all of our struggles are so profoundly interconnected. And the ways in which corporate monopolies, which is something I've been writing about a lot recently, have a business model that is actually a governmental model. They are trying to govern us. And the ways in which they govern us are through isolation and fear. And so we have been living through this epidemic of loneliness, and these moments of elation where we can see the connections are extraordinary. And then we see the impacts. I mean, you in this room, and I know some particular people, and there's people I don't know who worked on it, were instrumental in flipping the New York State Senate. And that took people coming together from all their different lanes to work on local state elections of candidates whose names maybe show up in the New York Times once. It's not about fame, it's about the work. And that victory in the New York State Senate has already transformed tenants' lives in Brooklyn and around the state in unimaginable ways. And there's these moments of elation when it's like, it's okay to talk about democratic socialism. And moments of elation when the fracking ban happens, when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is elected, when we have real victories in rolling back high-stakes testing. And then there's these just moments of extraordinary despair that follow maybe the same day, but maybe even an hour later, when we see the ways we have a radically corrupt and racist government destroying people's lives at home and around the world, and feel powerless and confused about how to deal with it. Here's my challenge to you. How many of you opposed the Bayer-Monsanto merger? Great. How many of you protested the Bayer-Monsanto merger? How many of you went to the FTC or the Attorney General of New York to say that you did not want that Bayer merger to go through? And let's take it one step further. How many of you have gone to the FTC or a candidate for office or the Attorney General of New York and let's say, let's unwind all those acquisitions that let Monsanto come too big? We as progressives are not doing our work in breaking up big corporations so that we can have the utopia we need. And the reason that's important is because if we are going to have the loving moral economy, which we can have, it is going to take striking at the root of power, not just at what power does after we've allowed it to exist. So I'm done with corporate accountability. I want to talk about corporate illegitimacy. And we are seeing the seeds of a new vision happen right now. Here in New York State, we said no to Amazon. And the reason that was important isn't because it was easy, it's because it was hard. It's because they were offering a lot. But we said we do not want to be governed by a corporation. We want the messy, beautiful confusion of loving, strange, funny people who say turtle at 8:25 at night, who disagree with each other about which the best part of the buffet is, to come together and make decisions together and not have the decisions made for us by this distant corporate government. So I am feeling, Veronica, very good about celebrating what is best in us. But I do think it's going to take even more than the extraordinary work that we've put forward so far. It is going to take all of us breaking down even more boundaries and dreaming harder. And I say this about myself too, criticizing less and dreaming out loud even more. I'm coming back to this because, of course, this is my first night out in a long time, so I'm just trying to make it tonight. I may fall asleep soon, but... But the other wonderful thing, as many of you know, about having a young child is the extraordinary amount of love and humor in a 1.1-year-old. So there is this amazement at the bug crawling across the table. There is this joy at the small speck of dirt on the glass. And this ability to laugh at strange moments that aren't obviously strange. So we are up against some of the most powerful forces in world history, and some of the most broken systems. And to fight those broken systems, we have to stop playing on their terms of using fear and money as our sources of power, because we're never going to have that much money, and we never want to use that much fear. Instead, it's going to take a lot of love, a lot of patience, and a lot of humor to get us to the other side. Thank you for this wonderful, wonderful honor.
I want to thank all of you again for coming out and supporting this event and helping us honor this year's recipients. Thank you for your generous contributions now and over the years that has helped us continue our mission of peace and social justice. One of the things that I learned about a month ago about a song that has multiple meanings. And I want to share this with you, and you can envision whatever meaning this might be for you. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing down, chariot, stop and let me ride. Swing down, chariot, stop and let me ride. Oh, rock me, Lord, calm and easy. I got a home on me, on the side. Oh, now swing down, chariot, stop, let me ride. Oh, swing down, chariot, stop, and let me ride. Oh, rock me, Lord, calm and easy. I got a home on me, on the side. Oh, sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Oh, sweet Lord, Sweet chariot coming for to carry me home. So, thank you. All the people in Brooklyn for Peace have been asking me to do this for, I don't know, 20 years, so I'm finally getting up to do it. So anyway, just my gratitude to all of you for coming out. Thank you so much. There's dessert and coffee, and I will see you again, right, next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and out there in the world.